Johnny Cash was born J.R. Cash on February 26, 1932 in Kingsland, Arkansas. He was one of 7 children to Ray and Carrie Rivers Cash. He grew up helping his parents on the farm where music was always a part of his daily life. His older brother died at age 14, which impacted Johnny greatly. He became more introverted and began writing songs, stories, and sketches. This event also helped deepen his spirituality. He graduated high school in 1950 and moved to Pontiac, Michigan, where he briefly worked for an automobile manufacturer. It wasn't long before he joined the United States Air Force. It was there that his name changed. The Air Force would not allow initials, so he changed his name to John R. Cash. Shortly thereafter, he was shipped off to Landsberg, Germany. While there, he purchased a cheap guitar and started a band called the Landsberg Barbarians with a few of his Air Force buddies. One of his first songs that he wrote was Folsom Prison Blues in 1953 while in Germany. His stint in the Air Force only lasted 4 years. He was discharged in 1954. After leaving the Air Force, Johnny married his first wife, Vivian Limberto, and they settled in Memphis, Tennessee. They were together 12 years and had 4 children together. Ultimately, it was Johnny's drug and alcohol abuse that tore their marriage apart. June Carter was touring with Johnny and helping him with his demons, and the two ended up falling in love. They got married in 1968, and the two had 1 child together. They are still one of country's favorite all-time love stories. Johnny pursued not only a musical career, but he also followed his friend Elvis Presley out to California where he dabbled in film and television. His first spot was on a television show called The Rebel in 1959. He also did a TV crime drama, 2 Minutes to Live, and a movie with Kirk Douglas called A Gunfight. The movie project he was most proud of was one he financed himself called Gospel Road, A Story of Jesus. Johnny never made it as a movie star, but his musical career soon took off, making him one of the biggest names in country music history. His very first #1 hit was Walk the Line in 1956 on Sun Records. This song had mass appeal, which entered it into the Grammy Song Hall of Fame. That was just the beginning, though. It was followed by countless other hits. Another one of his most popular songs was Ring of Fire. The song was written by songwriter Merle Kilgore and his future bride, June Carter. The song was originally recorded by June's sister Anita as Love's Ring of Fire. When Cash heard her version of the song, he decided to go a different way. He had a dream of recording the song with mariachi-style horns, and that was very different from his trademark boom-chicka-boom sound. It was also a rare sound for country music. Although it was different, the song still gained a lot of airplay, and it too was eventually entered in the Grammy Song Hall of Fame. One of Johnny Cash's biggest hits was actually not written by the great songwriter himself. The song A Boy Named Sue was actually written by a poet, Shel Silverstein. Silverstein wrote the song because of his friend Gene Shepard, who was quite the humorist and would make fun of his name. Cash recorded the song at his San Quentin concert in February 1969, but he had to use lyric sheets to remember the words. Normally, Johnny Cash would sing about serious social issues in his songs, but this poetry and somewhat funny story gave his fans something different to enjoy. The song won a Grammy for Song of the Year and a CMA for Single of the Year. Over the course of his illustrious musical career, Cash had over 90 albums to his name. His first album was called Johnny Cash with His Hot and Blue Guitar. This album had 4 hit singles, including one of his most popular songs, I Walk the Line. All his albums were considered successful. However, the album at Folsom Prison is ranked among one of his best works. Another jewel on Johnny Cash's crown was him joining the popular group The Highwaymen alongside his buddies Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson, and Waylon Jennings. The group released 3 albums in the 10 years they were together. The group was created in 1985 and was adored by large audiences. This achievement brought with it an array of awards and recognitions to include Country Music Awards, Grammys, MTV Awards, and being inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Johnny Cash was the youngest living inductee of his time into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Not only did Johnny Cash have his hand in acting and singing, he was also a novelist. The writings he did as a child followed him into adulthood. His first piece that was published was while he was in the Air Force. The piece was titled Hey Porter and was printed in the Stars and Stripes military newspaper. He wrote two autobiographies, Man in Black in 1975 and Cash, the autobiography in 1997. The literary work he was most proud of, even though it was only moderately successful, was a novel named Man in White. It was a fictional story about the Apostle Paul on the road to Damascus. It was thought that Cash could relate to Paul with his struggle with drugs and alcohol. Johnny Cash's battle with drugs and alcohol had a positive and negative effect on his life. The battle caused Cash to be arrested 7 times and subsequently caused him to spend some time in jail. During that time, he realized his talents could be used to help the men he met along the way. He performed several concerts for prison inmates and thus produced a couple of albums as well. After conquering his battle with addiction, Cash went to seminary and got a degree in theology, thus becoming an ordained minister. He was befriended and mentored by Billy Graham. Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash's relationship was one to be remembered. They weathered many storms and came out stronger because of it. It was the true definition of for better or for worse, and it was a true love story. June passed away unexpectedly in 2003, and shortly thereafter, Johnny Cash passed away on September 12, 2003, due to complications with diabetes. Even after his passing, Johnny Cash's legend lives on. His death landed him on the cover of Time magazine. In 2005, the album The Legend of Johnny Cash was released along with the movie Walk the Line. The movie was based on the tumultuous love story between Johnny and June Carter Cash. Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon received rave reviews for their roles as the famed stars, and the movie was nominated for Best Picture. The album sold over 2 million copies. Finally, in 2006, more recordings previously done by Cash were released in the album labeled American 5: 100 Highways.